Welcome to the Serious TV Drama Podcast, Survivor Edition. I'm Scott, the host who's too mentally challenged to ever participate in a physical challenge. And joining me tonight, a gal who doesn't need an immunity necklace when she's got that death stare. It's Tiffany. Hey, Tiff.
Hey.
I like that I mentioned that, and then you're looking away. But beyond that, making this dynamic duo actually a terrific trio, or should that be a terrifying trio? We have a truly bent Southern gent. It's Brian. Hey, Brian, how do you do?
Hey, Scott and Tiff, how are you guys doing? I'm really looking forward to talking to you all tonight.
Hey.
Oh,
I am ecstatic.
All right. Right in. We're almost there. Because we are back. We're chopping and slicing, cooking up a storm as we serve up a side dish of chaos, which is the title of the 10th episode of Survivor 50, In the Hands of the Fans. But before we catch up with another post-vote night around the campfire, you know what? Why don't we have Brian sidle up to the mic one more time so he can fill us in on part two of that sprawling saga he began last time about his impending encounter with a dragon slayer. Take it away, Brian.
Well, since I last talked to you all and the fans, I'm now officially a member of the Dragon Slayer clan. I had my meeting with Coach. It was everything I thought it would be, and then some. It was amazing. It was incredible. He's incredibly charismatic, incredibly nice, and good conversation. We talked about a wide range of things. Talked long enough that his assistant butted in twice and said, "Coach, come on, you got to go." And he kept talking to me. It worked out really great. Had a wonderful time. And at the end, I was bestowed my name, and I will henceforth be known as the Huntsman of the Black Forest. And that is my name and my name alone, and it is written in the records of the Dragon Slayer clan. So, but I have to say, his team, it was wonderful. He was on time. He was energetic. He was engaged. Um, and it was, I mean, look, I've seen a lot and heard a lot, and Scott knows, like, I'm not easily swayed. That I can see why out on the island without being edited. If you hang out with that guy all day, I can see why some people like him. He's got a certain charm and charisma. And I saw a couple of times like the Coach character break through, but he was a muted version of himself on the call. A couple of times, hearing him talk about smoking a cigar with the president of Mexico. At one point, the story he told me, I mean, like he started telling me that story, and I was like, okay, this is Coach on Survivor right here, this part. But, uh, learned a lot about him. He's a music lover. We talked about music. Obviously, Scott knows, and I'm a big music lover and have done some music for this podcast. And, but he is interested in writing and conducting orchestral music and classical music. And he's written some stuff, and he wrote a ballet, and that's how he met his wife. He wrote a ballet, and in working on the ballet and the music, that's how he met his wife. So it was a really, really cool experience. And I have to say, not often I do something silly and say at the end, zero regrets. I have zero regrets for this. 100% enjoyable. Loved it, and it was a great time, and we had a great hang, and it was worth every penny, and I'd do it again. So there you go.
I only have one question. So, did either of you try to break out a haiku about the other person, or?
No, I wrote one, but it was so not Survivor coded that it was just really great human conversation. And I got to give the guy credit. Like, there were no boundaries when we first started. Before we jumped into it, he said, "Are there any questions you want to ask me at all, and I'll answer them at the start," and was an open book. So, I mean, it wasn't like he tried to control the conversation and said there are places I won't go. Or I'm sure if I'd have said who's going to win, he'd have said I can't tell you that. But I mean, he was an open book. It was really great. So no complaints.
Did you guys talk about the season at all or no?
Yeah, and he disclosed one thing, and he almost told me the name, but he paused. He said he had gotten a call on Sunday about one of the players that's still in the game that called him to complain after watching the episode this week and said they didn't like their edit, that they were getting frustrated, that they didn't feel like they were being represented right. And and he said, and I just tell everybody after doing this a few times, like, it's the reality of TV. It's not the reality you lived. Like the reality of what we all lived, we'll share forever because all of us were there. The reality that TV gets is what they pick and choose, and enjoy it for what it is, and don't let that bum you out, because I think there's somebody left on the cast up through this episode that I think didn't like what their edit was showing. So
I wonder.
Well, that's a funny coincidence because I've been recently um, overly taken with the whole notion of what constitutes a winner's edit or not, because it's something that people have been bringing up in conversation a lot over the last several years. Not just casual fans, but even like super fans who have their Twitter accounts and whatever. Um, and I will say that, well, there is a certain amount of editing that goes into a season because obviously they have footage of these people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you got to make them into, 43 or now 62, and this turned out to be a 2-hour episode. You have to condense all that. And to a certain degree, you're doing it so that there is a shape or form to an episode that tells a story, and as well as for a season. But I tend to dispute the likelihood, if you watch 50 seasons of it, how many would I say, oh, you can see there's a quote unquote winner's edit throughout the whole thing. I think sometimes we choose to see something because we believe it to be true, not because it is true, just like anything. Someone tells you you can see Jesus in this piece of toast, and all of a sudden, everyone can see Jesus in the toast. Doesn't mean it's actually there. So I went online, and then I just happened to coincidentally come across this little clip that was done from a show fairly recently. I could tell by his face. It's modern day Jeff Probst. It's always when you see the older clips of Survivor, and it's like, oh, he looks different. I was like, yeah, he's younger. It's not much to it than that. So I'm going to play this.
Biggest thing I hear is the winner's edit. That's the one that gets me. Oh, he's getting the winner's edit. She's getting the winner's edit. I'm here to tell you there is no such thing as winner's edit. There's nobody in our team that would say, well, Probst, we do have a winner's edit. We don't write anything. We structure a game and the specifics of what's going to happen. The players write it. And then we go back and say, now treat it like a mystery. Pull out that clue because that'll give it away. Leave that clue in because that's fun to nibble on. And now at the end, you're like, who's it going to be? And sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong.
So that was basically it. And I understand what he's saying because he's kind of, I don't think anyone means that they wrote the show, because they're not talking about that they wrote who the winner was. It's an edit. So he's kind of he's kind of almost saying they do kind of do it to a little bit of extent because you are editing it for dramatic purposes and whatever, or to create mystery or questions. But I just don't feel that I don't think it's a real valid thing to talk about the way some people seem to. I mean, I was even invited once on a podcast simply to talk about that, and I didn't really believe in the notion of it very much. I was like, oh, do I really have to? But I don't really think it's that big a deal. But anyway, all right. But there'll be some editing later.
Well, I'll agree with you. I think what they do, and I think what people sort of transfer their own feelings on, is I do think there are like heroes edits where they pick somebody out that's standing out, and that person may be doing good enough to win, but I don't think they're getting an edit that's like, hey, nudge, nudge, they're winning. I think there are people who get hero edits and people who get villains edits. We've had a whole show named that for that very reason. And I think that, more often than not in Survivor, the heroes win. at the end. And so I think people go back and take the result and work back through bad science to say that meant there was a winner's edit.
And I also think they're also aware that, certain people are going to pop more than others. And so, we talk about someone being good TV. Someone's good TV, then they're going to, guess what? They're going to end up getting more screen time. No offense, like say this season, Christian was probably just a far more interesting person on camera with what he had to say than say Chrissy was, at the time. I mean, not to take anything away from Chrissy, she was actually was a really good player. She was a decent player this season. She was gone through a tragedy, whatever. But Christian was just a more compelling person. The way he spoke, the way he acted, his scheming, his plans, whatever, which was really based on what he was coming up with for the most part. So he would get, 40 times more confessionals than someone like Chrissy did or Angelina did or someone like that. So that people have to take that into account also. Hey, there are people who might have said up until a certain point, Christian was getting a winner's edit until he wasn't, because all of a sudden, so that's why I think that's why I personally think it's kind of bullshit. Because I can think of any number of players who like, okay, it looks like they're doing the best in the way they're talking so much, or whatever, and then they don't end up being the one who wins. So I don't really, and then we can think of certain seasons where it was like, I mean, maybe we didn't like the seasons, or the results of them, but would anyone say Gabler got a winner's edit that season? I don't think so. Would anyone say Karen, I think her name was, that she got a winner's edit that season? Certainly not. There were seasons where we thought the strongest players were not the ones. If we're thinking that someone's that strong a player, guess what? It feels like they're getting that kind of an edit again until they're not, when they're knocked out of the damn show. So that's why I think it's kind of a dubious thing for people to focus on.
Yeah, can we say Marianne? Marianne did not have a winner's edit.
I don't know. They spent a lot of time with her.
Did you think Marianne was going to win that before we got the final tribal?
No, I did not think Marianne was going to win.
So
I think they spent a lot of time with her because she was peculiar, and that's interesting TV.
Yeah. I mean, you can think of any number of ones that, we spent a lot of time with because they were just, odder people, but I didn't really think they were going to win. Like Carolyn might have been one of the best characters of the new era. I never thought Carolyn was going to win. No offense to Carolyn, but anyway, we've gotten a little sidetracked. My fault. So let's get to an episode that I believe all three of us were kind of super fanning about ourselves. So we'll go to the episode, and we start out at Manu Leibowitz, night 18. It's post-Christian vote. And we get this little Whitman sampler. Things any one of us can comment on if we like. You have Ozzy making the case that the survivor skills he's learned this time around are helping to keep him in the game because, old Ozzy would have had his ass voted out a while ago. You get Emily bemoaning the fact that she's never been on the wrong side of a vote before. Don't know if that's true. It's kind of fascinating if it is. But she's trying valiantly to repair her damaged relationship with Ozzy and such. And then you get some Devins and Ozzy stuff. And what's really great about the opening is that let's just shift over to Devins and talk about masterful editing. By the way, this might be one of the best edited episodes of Survivor I can recall in a long time, especially when you get to, post challenges, because it was insane. But Devin's kind of laying it down here that, he's pointing out the hypocrisy of it all, especially people like Ozzy, and that people that are basically telling him almost to his face that he's at the bottom. And he presently says that the biggest mistake when you're dealing with a Rick Devins is to tell him he's at the bottom, because he'll just play on his own. He'll play Rick Devins' way, and it's going to bring some major chaos along with it. Who knew? I love that opening.
If you told me, design an episode of Survivor that hits all of Scot's favorite things about Survivor.
Yeah.
This episode was created in a lab that when I got done, I mean, I knew I was going to love it, but if my life would have depended on saying, did Scott love this episode or not, I know I would have lived given my answer.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we'll get to them, but yeah, you have literally my favorite thing that they do is in this episode, and who I think is probably my favorite all-time player doing what he did and how all that went down. I needed to take 2 cold showers after that. After that. Oh man! So now it's day 19. Get a little Aubrey and Riz. Aubrey saying these things like, it feels like there are fewer people here than 10. And it's interesting because it seems like, oh, we got 10 people. That's a lot of people. But because of, and it's a grouping where, we already have alliances that have been kind of torn apart here or shred or ticked down or what's the word I'm looking- shaved down quite a bit. So it's not like it doesn't seem on the face of it, it's one faction against another. And yet that does still start to materialize because we do still have some of those people left from before. And then we have, the Siri, Ozzy, Riz situation, and then you have the people like, are we with them or not? Is there a larger alliance? Is that more of a tenuous alliance? And it's leaving people like an Aubrey, for example. There's not as much maneuverability as you'd expect with 10. And one of the things that, and we'll see this a lot later, the problem becomes you start shifting around and trying to go to other people to try to work with them, watch what you say because, next thing you know, they're telling someone who ends up telling somebody else. Everyone's lying and everyone's tattling to each other. It's so much fun. I either do really great or really horrible in such a situation, but it's so active, and I think that's one of the things I've really been more surprised about this season. How active all the strategery is between all the different players and all the backstabbing, which is happening, you know, right out in the open. Sometimes they just stab you in the face. Um, the thing with also one thing I want to point out with Aubrey, because then she's talking to Riz, and then when she's standing there talking by herself, did anyone notice this bug that was crawling on her? There's this
I
one little
did.
bug that's crawling, and it was getting really close. And I think like down on her shoulder, then to her neck, and I was watching. It's going, oh, she. No one went. And I said, no, they probably the survivor people probably love this. The people are like, oh, no, shh, 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 shh. Like, I'm wondering if like a minute later she felt it like crawling on her face and freaked out or not, or actually she probably didn't. She probably like, okay, I'll just eat that now.
Hey, this episode she proclaimed herself a psycho. So
Yeah. All I know that bug was just for me. I was just going ick, ick, ick. Hey, what rhymes with ick? Rick. Rick decides to come clean about the fake idol. Okay, this was an interesting move on his part. What did you guys initially think when he made the decision that he was going to come clean about the idol? Because I could see people going either way on that, and I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I mean, who am I to say? I mean, Tiffany, what did you think of that?
At first, I was just like, "Why would you do that? Like, there's no point." Um, yeah, I didn't get it at first. That's me. Like, I'm old school survivor. Keep your cards close to the chest type.
Gotcha. All right.
I felt that way too, but I thought the genius of what he did was if he insisted on maintaining he had it, he keeps a target on him that will not be moved no matter what happens the rest of the day. And what's fascinating about it is by removing that target, but yet still being a target, he gives the rest of the team flexibility that they say we can go back to Devon's later because he doesn't have an idol. And so the game gets fluid for him, and it actually works out. And then in true Rick Devens fashion, he pulls rabbit out of the hat. So, I mean, like I thought my first instinct was, "Oh God, Rick, what are you doing?" But I think it worked out in a really good way for him.
Oh, it absolutely did.
See, I typically agree with Tiffany about keeping when in doubt, don't say anything. Whatever the situation is, when in doubt, don't say anything, unless at least in reality competition, not on TV shows where if characters just talk to each other, would be okay. You know. However, my thought was, okay, you're going to lower your threat level on one end, but raise it on another, but it's not going to be as serious a threat. You lower it here by, okay, you don't, which you're now making it clear you do not have an idol. What does that do? Okay, so they're not going to be trying to get you because they want to flush the idol, because there is no idol to flush. That's number one. Number two, that means the focus can now shift just a little bit back to the people that everyone knows do have real idols, as in Rizzo and Ozzy. He's no longer one of the three. And how it's in previous episode we thought, oh, now he's the one that everyone's paying attention to, not Rizzo and Ozzy, which was one of the things that they kind of liked about the quote unquote stupid move of it. Now, does it raise the threat level because, oh, we're reminded of what Rick Devens is capable of? Well, hey, guess what? You all saw his season. You didn't think when he pulled that thing out of the rock, you didn't think there was something crazy about that to begin with, and you did it in a public way. Either people are going to respect it or not, because he saved himself with a fake idol that he planned in advance, and it just happened to work out that way. Whatever. But the problem is now now people think he's dangerous because he's devious, or Devins is. But especially Joe. I mean, me and Tiffany were not Joe fans to begin with. I never have been. I'm not going to get into the reasons why from his season, because quite frankly, the thoughts I expressed about it during that season were quite offensive. So I won't do it on this podcast. No, but as much as I'd like to. But I'm watching him here in this season, and he has his little, noble bullshit moments. He had one in this episode even. But generally speaking, he's got this bug up his ass about Devins. I don't know if it's the bug that was on, Aubrey's shoulder or not, but it's just the whole pious routine of, and it's like, and a lot of it's about the fact that people can lie so well. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Because we're seeing there's people here who can lie, and people here who really aren't that good at it. Joe is not good at lying. Coach was not good at lying. We're going to see a certain gross one is not very good at lying in multiple situations. It is kind of funny. There is someone else who you think shouldn't be good at lying. He's not a bad liar. We'll get to that fellow later.
But Scott, in you talking about this, it does make me think that if Rick was playing with a bunch of newbies, he probably doesn't do this.
Right.
But by doing it in this group of good players, he also has the precedent of what Aubrey did. That this group, the structure of the game this group has built, Aubrey flushed her own idol. And then guess what? She hasn't been really a target, or at least hasn't been the sole target because of that ever since. Like, they didn't immediately the next tribal voter out. So he's seen this group. If you sort of lower your threat level, even if you're still perceived as a threat, you might survive the next vote in a way that if he keeps that, which it's a fake, they might get him.
Right. Absolutely. Of course, after he does that, I still was kind of mumbling to myself, all right, you've established you don't have an idol, but you know what you can do. You can go look for one. Anyway, but whatever, because something happens right after this, which is so more important and special, because right after that, ladies and gentlemen, it's Survivor auction time. I don't know who was more shocked. Well, wasn't shocked because I already knew about it. But the cast members, the players, they were both shocked and psyched because they know how special an auction is. Not, I think Rizzo's season did not have an auction because he made a reference to finally getting to be in one of these. As those who've ever listened to me talk about Survivor, or conversations I've had with a million times with Tiffany here and Brian a few times in more recent years, Survivor auction is literally my favorite thing about Survivor, especially if it's done well. And when Jeff has everyone sit down in those benches, which cost production so much to make, apparently, because that's why Survivor auction wasn't done for years, because the budget, stupid idiots. He starts talking about how there's going to be elements of both chaos and comfort involved in this Survivor auction. Sometimes it'll be both. And he also brings up some new little twists to the whole auction idea, where you can pool your money together with someone else. You can have a shared item where two people can go in with each other on a thing. And they talked about how you can, when and how you can share food and all these things. And also another little silly thing, you get to keep whatever money you don't use, which is like, oh boy, I still have $80 left. I get to take this home. Yay! So we have that happening. And then, so it starts going, Survivor auction like normal. Devins wins French fries and onion rings for like $160. Emily gets a chocolate milkshake for $100. Jonathan gets a veggie and cracker platter for just $80. I love when Tiffany's like, I don't want no damn carrots. I was thinking, and then you get the first 2-person deal. It was Aubrey and Riz. And you get that plate of cookies, and they uncover one, and then they uncover the other one, and it's a Survivor classic. It's 2 alive, living little squirmy grubs, and you've got to down those suckers before the sand in the hourglass. I gotta say, because Aubrey is the one who goes with the grubs, and you had already hinted at this before. I don't think I was ever more impressed with Aubrey, at least this season, I should say. This season, I've never been more impressed with Aubrey until not just the fact that she did it, it was the way she did it. Because I went, wait a minute, when did Aubrey become fun? Because the way she was prancing around, and I was like, okay, if you were acting like this from the get go, I wouldn't have been anti Aubrey at the beginning of the season. So I got to say, Aubrey really kind of impressed me here. Before we move on with anything else, did you guys have a similar thought like that?
Well, I like Aubrey. Aubrey, I was a little bit disappointed in her earlier showing, but I'm an Aubrey fan, so I wasn't like, oh wow, Aubrey or whatever. I think I do recall from her season, she did have I think it wasn't, I don't believe it was an auction or something, but I want to say, was there an eating challenge on one of her seasons?
I think
Hudson?
so, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, like I wasn't surprised that she was able to eat that stuff. I was more shocked that Rizzo was so adverse to it. That's what shocked me. And also, I didn't know she had a kid. Did anybody know that Aubrey was a mom? Like I don't recall
I
that.
had heard that. I'd heard that in the run up to it.
Okay.
But like this was a good episode for her, like a really good episode for her in a low key way. There are people who shined more than her, but she caught some good heat this episode.
Mhm.
But like the thing I really liked for her was when she did that, like she was so badass doing it. Like all the other people at the auction were like pumped for her, and like she created some goodwill in the cast
Mhm.
doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
And later when the mac and cheese happens, she has the moment, talking about being a mom.
Mhm.
And I thought like her personality came out to the group in a way where she had felt separated earlier this year. And I think like she had some genuine moments bonding with the other people on the tribe. And I thought it was a great episode for her.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you can even contrast it because we also a little later on we get another 2-person chaos/comfort thing. And that one's with Ozzy and Jonathan, and the comfort, the food is like I believe I think that's the one with fried chicken and mashed potatoes.
Yep.
But Jonathan has to eat a somewhat cooked sea slug, which looks even more disgusting than it sounds. And he had a little bit of an upchucky moment with that one, if I recall. We also got a quick, it's almost like a montage the way it's done in succession of people winning various items. I love that Siri gets things like a blanket and a toothbrush and mouthwash and toothpaste, it's good that she got a toothbrush and toothpaste and mouthwash because later on she gets like a charcuterie plate and then she starts to feel sick. So she walks off, pukes her guts up and goes right back to eating. And all other little things, like, the gross one gets a grilled cheese sandwich. Jonathan gets a simple PB&J sandwich, so on and so forth. And then, as you mentioned, Aubrey gets the mac and cheese, which that the whole thing about that is that it engineers the line that she says of "it tastes like home," and that's what leads to Jeff going into another item, which is going to be for the whole tribe, except they'd all have to kick in money towards it. Once he said that, I already knew what it was going to be. because it's like, oh, okay, you know what it's going to be. And of course, yes, it's letters from home. But before they get their letters from home, which actually they're not going to get till they get back to camp, they find out there's a twist coming because it's about chaos and comfort. And we've just introduced this element of comfort with these letters. There's got to be some chaos to follow. And it turns out we're going to have another super fan celebrity impact the game, which maybe sent some people feeling dread after, memories of Jimmy Fallon and Zach Brown and so on. Because this time it's Mr. Beast, who apparently is probably the most downloaded dude on YouTube. He's the creator of these challenge games that are a global phenomenon. He's someone that I've heard of, but I've never watched the things. But if you're watching Survivor, they've made references to him before in the challenge stuff before, so I get that. It doesn't matter to me that I don't know who he is because that doesn't factor into anything. Who cares? I even though most of them acted like they knew who he was, I'm willing to bet at least one or two of them did not know who he was. Same way, probably one or two people didn't really know any of Zach. A few people probably didn't know Zach Brown's music. Don't care. But the fact that they bring on someone who knows a little something about reality competition and challenges is already. I always think that could bode well here. And he seems like a pleasant enough person. He's not overly chatty. He seems very nice. And he's carrying a briefcase. And on one side of the briefcase, other than what I guess is, I'm assuming it's the logo for his branding, Mr. Beast, we see on the side of the suitcase it says "Beware," and that's where we find out that there's going to be a super beware advantage that Mr. Beast himself has cooked up, his idea, and it'll be revealed at the tribal council. So what's great about that is then he makes his exit. And we all know, but realize this is going to be the thing that's going to be hanging over the episode for the rest of the episode. Because what's it going to be? Because we've seen some things added which didn't really have much of an impact, and then some things which certainly did, for better or for worse, And one can't help but think like, okay, this guy knows a little something about this kind of programming. So the chances are it's going to be something that's going to work out better than, say, I don't know, the Blood Moon, for example. So, hey, by the way, all the people were. Oh, I'll say that later. So, but anyway, that's the end of the auction. I was generally pleased with the auction. I've seen better auctions, quite frankly, but I did love that someone has to do something horrible, and while someone has to do something, I wish there had been a little bit more of that. I felt like every time, because like, is there chaos as well? No, it's just comfort. Like, I wish they kind of screwed them just a little bit more. I'm fine with them not having like hidden clues or any of that stuff in it. I don't mind that because I thought the other element kind of made it kind of interesting to me. Quite frankly, I wanted to see at least one or two more. You got to eat something disgusting because I associate that with Survivor. So, I mean, how did you guys feel about that overall, as far as the Survivor auction was concerned?
So I'm with you. Like, I wanted to see a little bit more, like, especially with the covered up items, like, oh yeah, I'm spending $200 and it's like some bullshit. Like, I wanted more of that. I like to see that. I don't care about like, oh yeah, idol, because clearly idols aren't that huge of a thing. For this season, not the way that they've been with that Billy. Yeah, so. But I would have liked to have seen more like, okay, eat some rat guts or something stupid that you've paid.
Rat guts, right?
But I'm guessing that the big focus was on this big beware, and that was like the big juggernaut. So
Right, yeah. I think I like the idea that people are, because in a weird way, it was almost like the nicest auction because you didn't have the issues of, you're running out of money, you're running out of time, you don't know when. Because at the very beginning, I think it's Aubrey who says how many items are going to be, because they have a thing where you don't know when it might end. And I think they did one of the more recent ones where I don't know if it was a randomly chosen thing. It was a game they did. Like, there'll be 13 items, or it could be, so oh, you're running out of time to use your mind. I just that element wasn't here. They chose not to focus on that at all. That's why they, like I said, that's probably why they did that quick succession of things. For all I know, there might have been things that were one that we never even got. They decided not to show us for some reason. Because I didn't see one steak there. Like, because Applebee's didn't promote this. I don't understand.
I didn't have any problem with it because I thought he established the framework as chaos and comfort, and for most of the time the auction was comfort,
Yeah.
and the chaos was, I mean, a couple of nasty things, but the real chaos was Mr. Beast walks in and puts like everybody on edge for the rest of the day, and my favorite thing is when like he walks off and they're getting ready to go to the challenge, so he's like, damn it, Jeff, what are you trying to do to us?
Well, also, you're right, because the other thing is they go right from the auction right to the immunity challenge, which I'm fairly certain is not normally what they've done in the past. If they have done it in any other, I just don't remember it. But my feeling is you tend to, because you're eating and you go back to camp, whatever, and then later on there's a challenge. This means if you just load it up on something and now you got to go right into a challenge.
Yeah.
And, we've already seen a couple of these people who just had some serious digestive issues. Well, Emily mentions how she's going to be, she says pooping her brains out. It's like,
Yeah.
just say shit your brains out. They would have bleeped it. Come on. So anyway, so they have to wipe the food from their faces. They got to get ready for an immunity challenge. And it's another one of those semi-classic ones where, it's one with lots of bees. They got to balance on a beam while bouncing a ball on a bow. Balance on a beam while bouncing a ball on a bow. Yep, did it. All right. So I always wondered where they got the idea to use a bow to balance the ball, but okay, it works. It goes pretty much, the gross one, it got knocked off first, then Riz, then as they move down Siri, then Aubrey. Eventually, it comes down to Tiffany, Joe, and Ozzy. And I was worrying, it's like, oh no, not Joe. But then once I said that out loud, then Joe faltered, like, yes, I have power. No, makes no sense. But then Ozzy falls as well, and that leaves Tiffany a winner in tears, because that's when we find out she now knows she's going to last past day 19. And day 19 was the day she was voted out the last time she was on Survivor. So I actually thought that was a really good Tiffany moment. I think the last couple episodes, she's definitely, her stock is rising. She's definitely getting good moments. She's definitely doing well in these challenges. Although, as we really should know, especially when it's an all-star cast like this, the challenge shit's not going to mean anything at the end of the day. No one's going to vote. I mean, excuse me, except for one or two morons, most people are not going to vote for you based on your challenge wins, unless you just swept everything or something like that. And I don't know if anyone's going to be pulling that off here. Before I defer to you guys, can I just mention my favorite thing that happened during this? And you probably already know where I'm going with this. There's that point where I think it might have been when he fell off or something, and Jeff refers to Devins as our favorite Survivor newscaster, and we hear, and Riz on the bench goes, I go, take that, Savannah Louie. And I went, oh my God, that's right. And that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And Riz and her had an exchange on social media about that.
Oh, really?
Yes, and she said, "What the f? What the f, Rizzo?" And Rizzo's response was something like, "It wasn't me, it was AI."
Oh my God, that's amazing! Oh, he just went up one tick on my power rankings. Well done, Riz. Oh, and the best part is now I see that my notes say go to papers for the rest, which means I don't have anything else typed in front of me. So,
but can we talk about how still and calm and statuesque Tiffany was throughout almost this whole thing? Even at one point, like, I think Rizzo leans over and says, has she moved at all? Like, she is just supernaturally still through this. And I thought it was amazing to see her performance. I was so shocked based on her character to see like her have that emotional response after she won. But then to hear her say, like that this was this milestone I had no idea was in her head. Like, I just got to get past today because this is as far as I've ever made it. And I thought that was really powerful because I think all of us probably don't realize every one of them knows the exact day they were voted out.
Right.
And in their head, that's some sort of goalpost they're shooting for. Like to say, hey, if I'm going back, I want to. What do you hear every one of them say when they come back? I want to do better than I did last time, right? And she accomplished that. I thought that was a really powerful moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, like I said, she's between her challenge performance and just her interactions, especially with Siri and Ozzy as of late, because she feels like she's almost like an adjunct member of the possible alliance there, at least for the time being, maybe. Definitely improved in my eyes. I still don't think they should have brought her back, but I don't care. But at least she's proven to be more worthwhile than I expected. But people named Tiffany. Eh. So
Anyway,
here's the thing. Up until this point, I mean, we had Survivor Auction. Now, having a Survivor Auction should already mean, oh, it's a great episode. I thought the auction was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But it wouldn't be something which would make me go, oh, this is a great episode. From this point on, this becomes a great episode. And one of the reasons I didn't even type the rest is because of the mad scratchings of me trying to transcribe. Oh, well, because I should point out what I'm using to watch. It's a risk for me to ever pause it because if I pause it, sometimes it'll freeze and then I might lose, which is like I said a few weeks ago, I never got to see Devins actually physically take the scroll out of the out of the rock. I had to watch it at a later time, whatever. So I'm trying to jot things really fast while it's all happening in real time. So that's what my notes are. So I might have to lean on you guys a bit more here because the back and forth between alliances and non-alliances and people coming up with plans and schemes and going back and forth that goes on at camp. I've only seen something like that a couple times and never quite with this many people where every single person was in some way involved. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think outside of maybe Joe, perhaps, everyone gets mentioned as a person to be voted off at one point or another. Everyone's a target at one point or another, including Siri, including Ozzy, including certainly Devin. Everyone gets mentioned at one point, even if it's briefly. Like at one point, I think Tiffany's name is mentioned, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. No, Tiffany's the one who can't be mentioned because she's got immunity, so Tiffany's safe. I'm sorry, not Tiffany. I think it was Emily, whatever. And I was going, oh, they are going so crazy. Like usually this season, when we're going to tribal council, it feels like, oh, it's between these two or these three people. This might be one of the only times in recent memory you could make the case. It could be one of 9 people. I think there's some people that are more likely, but it wouldn't be shocking for it suddenly to swing over to someone else. So there's so much that was going on here. I'm just going to zip through this here. So we have Aubrey, Jonathan, and Steph talking. The gross one. I don't mean to refer to her by her actual name. By the way, I am not going to talk about the letters. If you guys want to talk about the letters, if you were actually emotionally impacted by this and you feel it's something worth pointing out, feel free. I won't judge you for it. My issue with the letters at this point, and maybe I'm a bad person for saying this, but especially when it's people who've played the game before, especially with people who've played the game multiple times. And as we've established a number of times, especially because of, it's day and night, saying, okay, it's not like in the old days where you got the letters, it was day 31 or 2 or something, because it was really towards later in the game. And we don't know how long you were there actually longer because of the earlier days of how much prep work had to go before you even got on the island or whatever. That's all shortened now. So they haven't been away quite as long. And these are people who've been done this before. I was going, I swear to God, if I'm going to watch it because I can't fast forward either. Oh, I was watching it in real time. I couldn't fast forward. if I start seeing tears roll down people's cheeks over this, I'm like, unless you just had a goddamn baby. Like if Christian had still been there and got a thing about his kid, because he just had a kid or something.
Yeah.
All right, I get it. But it's got to
Well,
be a special circumstance.
I largely agree with you, but I got Aubrey getting to read her letter after what happened at the auction. I thought was impactful. But there's one thing that's really impactful that I think has to be mentioned, and that is there's a certain player who's played this game a lot and went out there, and yeah, the letter's no big deal. And she gets sucker punched because for the first time in her life, her father writes her a letter, and that's
Yeah.
Siri.
Yeah.
I mean, like that for her to be like, think of all the time she's been there, and that's the first time he's ever written her a letter, and what it does to her. I mean, like no matter how old you get, you're your parents' kid, and I thought that was particularly moving that she was emotionally affected by getting a letter from her dad.
Yeah, I just thought that was all part of the winner's edit. So no, just kidding.
Well,
Yeah, sorry about
so,
that.
again, I don't really care much about the letters or anything like that. And it was funny when I was watching it last night. My husband was actually in the family room, and he was kind of semi watching it with me. And he made a point to be like, "This is really lame, really like whatever." He's like, "On your podcast, mention that I think it's lame and whatever." And I was like, "Well, Keith, you got to understand they're out there, and I get it. Whatever, but I'm with Scott. Like they've done this shit longer. A lot of people, many, you're going home.
Yeah, but it's like
It's
look, I cry at the drop of a damn hat. In fact, someone dropped the hat the other day, and I cried. But for some reason, I've always thought the letter to like, here we go again.
Well, to quote our friend Jamie,
Oh, here we
if you
go.
want to see how this is done, watch this season of Australian Survivor and see when Jackson's mom comes and actually is there in person at the final immunity challenge. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, Jackson's in it. But like they actually bring their loved ones out and they've been there 39 days or 40 days. And
Well, when they used to do stuff like that, that was different. Seeing them
yes,
is different
exactly.
than a letter. Letters.
Exactly. Totally agree.
No one does letters anymore. They should all get like little phones with text on them.
Well, I did like the season when it was what was it? Winners at War or whatever, when they brought out the families.
I like when they made the families compete.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Because it's somewhat ridiculous to make them do that. But I said,
Well, not
oh,
even
awesome.
like when they got to see their families.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I
got
You
thought
just
that
liked it because Colby yelled at his brother, Scott. You liked when Colby got to yell at his brother.
of course. Okay, so that are we can we move away from the letter?
Yes, move on, sir.
Thank you. All right. So initially we get this little combination. We see Aubrey, Jonathan, and the gross one, and they're talking about Devons. And this is the first time we get to think like, huh, maybe what Devon said was a good idea. Because they're going, yeah, Devons might be obvious, but maybe this is the time we go after a bigger threat, like an Aussie. So then, Jonathan goes, to Stephanie, and he kind of lies to Stephanie because he tells her basically that Ozzy's looking to go after her.
Mhm.
He kind of lies. Like I'm like, he didn't kind of lie. He just lied. Then, for whatever reason, they decide to approach Devons. I don't know how great an idea that was, but So speaking of not sure if that's a great idea, Devons tells Emily again. Why are people telling Emily anything? Why does why hasn't the ghost of Christian haunted the camp to tell him, don't tell Emily anything? But I love that Emily and Devons had this little kind of fun little moment together where, where Emily gets off a few good lines in this episode. Doesn't she? We should not be allowed to play. We are unhinged.
Yeah.
It's almost like they might as well be like rubbing their hands together with evil glee because wait, who can we screw over more now? So when this starts to, and then all of a sudden everything starts to roll. And then I realized, no, Actually, Emily's not the person you should avoid telling anything to. Joe is the person you shouldn't be telling anything.
Joe is the new Emily.
Oh, and Jonathan's one. I mean, if Jonathan made any mistakes in this episode, his first mistake was going to Joe to confide in him. And I get he's part of his alliance, but dude, you should have known. You've been there 19 days. You've been dealing with this. I forget at what point they met each because they weren't on the same tribe, a little thing initially, but they combined within a few days of each other, whatever it was. You should know this is not the guy to tell that to, you know, because he's not going to look at because first of all, you know he's got a hard on to get rid of Devins to begin with. How are you going to convince him to go after Ozzy? So. And Joe is the one. Joe is the one to go and tell Tiffany and Siri about going after her. And I went, oh, okay. I already know Ozzy is not going to get voted out of this game today because he went and told Siri.
and again, someone approaches Don Siri Leone on the on the beach with her consigliere Tiffany sitting beside her. And says, hey, I think someone wants to get rid of your teammate. And guess what? Stuff is put in motion, brother, right away. I love the cuts we get this season of Siri going, that ain't happening.
She's great. So Siri, basically, she does not want the power to shift over to Stephanie, the gross one, and Jonathan. Maybe let's just call her Stephanie, but it's damn wrong because I keep screwing up. But I love that there's that part where Stephanie / the gross one goes to Siri. And she's trying to feed her this cock and bull story. And Siri is just sitting there. By the way, this is one of the more mobile Siri episodes of all time. But all these great moments, she's just, she is the godfather. She is just sitting
absolutely
and watching whatever. And Siri is not buying it for a second. Siri, again, off camera, like, you just sit down. You're just gonna lie to my face. You can't even look me in the eye. You're realizing, yes, bad liar. You can't
bad liar. Just bet like, girl, bye. At this point, you gotta assume that Siri knows what's going on, and just come at her straight and be like, "Hey, we were floating this. What do you think?"
But Siri's like, it's so obviously she's up to no good. She's got to go, and that's where you start going. I wonder if there's an issue or two between Siri and Stephanie. It feels maybe this goes all the way back to, I don't know, the traders, because one of them did really well and one of them did not, and also one of them proved to be an idiot and one of them was not. So I'm like going, oh, okay, no, Stephanie, but on a normal episode, that would almost be it. Maybe there would be one more little element, and then we're going to tribal. Not this episode. Not this. Just because things keep fucking changing. But you start hearing about the possible plans because then you're reminded how Siri has an extra vote. So they start talking about how they can pull together the votes to do that. But then Ozzy mentions the Stephanie thing to Jonathan. And I'm like, wait, Ozzy, what are you doing? Why you're gonna blow up the plan? Why are you saying anything? That was that where you were kind of, because Tiffany texted me during the thing and she was kind of upset with Dolphin Boy. And she said it, and I was like, I don't remember. I was like, oh, I mean, by the way, that lasts like maybe 10 seconds. That's probably why I didn't care. Because I think at some point, other than maybe Siri herself, everyone was everywhere talking to everybody about everything all at once. And then they finished watching that movie and they all had hot dog hands. Anyway, and then they watched Field of Dreams. Anyway, John Mulaney reference, sorry. So I'm just looking, trying to read all this.
But how funny is this? Like, while you're scanning the last of this, how funny is it that Devins is the target And by the end of this clusterfuck, they're running up to Devins in the woods going, "Here, okay, what about this plan?" And Devins is like, "I think Emily and I can do that." And you know damn well Devins is not doing that.
At some point, it becomes clear that it's going to be it looks like it's like a Siri versus Stephanie kind of situation, which is like, okay, wasn't expecting it to go down that way. And then, as you say, people keep coming up to Devon's with all these, and you're trying to realize, trying to figure out, wait, how much of this is actually sincere and how much of it are people lying or people just trying to cover their own asses or whatever. And the thing that was great, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just reading this because everybody is swearing to everybody else that they're being on, that this is the plan. And I'm realizing, hey, this is the chaos that they were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, we haven't even gotten a tribal. It's such pure chaos. And then you have Devins is watching all this. He's going, so many plans. He's gonna fucking blow it all up at tribal. And I'm like going, does he have to? You know what? I don't care. I want it to happen so bad at this point because at this point, everybody's talked shit about everybody else just about. It's just insanity, pure, unadulterated insanity for a good 10, 15-minute stretch here.
The beauty of all this happening is every one of them walks up to Devins and hands him a bullet that he loads in his gun. And when he gets to tribal council, he pulls his gun out and starts shooting in every direction. And it's beautiful.
He's like Yosemite Sam, just
It's
firing
like
in all
Yosemite,
directions.
and you had a plan against her, and you had a plan against him, and he said that. I mean, this was. I mean, one of the things I wanted to ask you all was, Scott, you're right. This was expertly edited. The way they edited it, that the pacing was good. It gave you a sense of the speed that things were changing, the chaos. This was the most bonkers pre-tribal day on the beach I can remember seeing in a long time on Survivor, and maybe ever.
It's hard for me to think of one that was more so with that had that many people and they're all involved. And because because with a cast like this, I mean, you have X number of people here who are strategists to begin with. You have people who are turning out to be learning to be strategists, even like a Jonathan, who I wouldn't have thought of that before, but he's definitely driving shit this fucking season. You've got Siri doing her thing. Rizzo's kind of even taking a little bit of a back seat, but then he starts to get a bit more involved. Aubrey's flying from from a bee to flower to flower. It's just so much going on. And, we usually talk about these great Survivor episodes and with the insanity and things going bonkers, and we're usually referring to tribal councils. For it to go this nuts and they haven't even gotten there. Because a lot of times they'll go to tribal and they start talking about how it's crazy at the beach and everyone, I was going, was it really? It was a little bit, but not that. This was the only time like, oh no, when Jeff asked that question, so how was it it's like, when they say it was crazy, like, oh no, you need more words than just crazy to cover this one, because everybody was just aiming at everybody else. It was so amazing.
It was so fun.
It was great. It was one of the best, and because I forget which season it was. You may know Huntsman. I'm gonna always say that.
Nice.
Where that first live tribal actually happened, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on?" Whatever. But it's never been like this. Where usually someone's left out. Every single person was involved. Everything was, and when Devins looked at Aubrey and he was like, "Look, we're gonna blow it up. I'm gonna blow it up or whatever," and I just, my God, I had no idea because I think I was still texting you, Scott, like, "What the fuck, Ozzy?
RD, I'm gonna blow it up. There's my note right there.
Oh my God!" And just let it all fly. And the gross one was sitting there like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, we're getting there right now.
Oh,
We're getting there right
okay.
now. We're getting there.
Yeah. All right.
But to her credit, because she did say something early in the episode about going cutting people's throats or whatever, and I think she was the one who brought up the idea. I think she was finally the one to bring up the idea of going after Siri, and we haven't heard Siri's name mentioned in a while. Since the earlier episodes of the season,
Yeah.
and of course that made me go, "Oh, it's got to be you. You 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 said Siri's name. It's gonna be you. Siri's the new Sandra." You said, never mind. You said one of her teammates, and you said her name. You're going to be gone. And then
It literally is, keep my name out of your fucking mouth. You say my name, you're going home. Goodbye. And just for reference, I know you'll remember this when I say it. You asked earlier, what do you think was the first live tribal? It's when Malcolm got booted in Game Changers. And that was the first one where people got up and started walking around. But
Yes.
before that, because I think there were 2 idols played at that tribal, or 2 idols possibly in play. Before that, people had sat and whispered and talked back and forth. But that's the first one where somebody actually gets up and just walks over and starts talking.
Yeah.
So that was the first. But I mean, I felt like this whole day was a live tribal. It was just insane.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my Lord. So let's get to tribal. Okay. Now, there's a lot to say about tribal, but I'm gonna narrow it down to one thing before we get to the twist that we were waiting the whole episode for. The way Rick goes about the blowing up of things. Tells me Rick is someone I would be worried about if I was at Final Tribal with him, because he lays everything out very matter-of-factly. There's a certain kind of structure. I mean, maybe he worked with the Survivor editors to get his story straight. I don't know. And the fact that it becomes a duel between him and Stephanie, and that's not going to go well, because the way she starts insisting on things. And there were things that she could have said and didn't, but she says things which don't ring quite true. And that causes other people to say stuff about her. When Rizzo kind of takes her on, he's sitting right there, and I'm going, oh, we see where this is going. And the only people going against Devins is basically her and Jonathan. It's how can you believe? And Jonathan's thing where he says, how can you believe anything he says because he had a fake idol? It's that's the hill you're going to die on, sir. Fake idols are a thing in this game. They have been for quite some time. He saved his life. What are you talking about? I will defer and let you guys kind of talk about this stuff with everything pre-coin, so to speak. Everything before that was already fantastic. I love the warring. I love people trying to figure out the all that was fantastic. But basically, Rick Devins for that part was already the star of the show with how he handled that. And the thing I did when he was talking, I was making sure I was keeping an eye when they would show us everybody's faces. Because then you want to go, who believes him, who doesn't? Is there anything he's saying which in any way doesn't sound true? Because the joke is, he's telling the truth. Everything he's saying is 100% true, And I'll leave it. I'll let you guys go off on it now because I'm getting all excited just remembering.
The beauty of what he did was people came to him with other people around. And so everything he said had at least one corroborating witness. And when everybody couldn't gang up on him and say, no, Rick, that's not true. You didn't say that to me and her. Like 1 or 2 people took him on, but everybody couldn't because they were all there and heard it. He had enough cover. He did not talk to people alone. There were always people around. They were always trying to get these little pockets of people to build, voting blocks. So when he's challenging and a group of people didn't rebuff him, and then Stephanie responds and it's so lame. like she was in trouble big time. And I literally, when he got done and everybody's like chaos, he's just sitting there looking at Jeff. He's not even looking at him. He's just like, look at what I've created. This is my kingdom of chaos.
It's so good. It's so good.
Good.
I can't.
And I loved how he owned, like, hey, yeah, I said your name, sorry, but blah blah blah. Like, because how
Oh, the Rizzo moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Brilliant.
That's how honest he was.
Yes.
Even,
Brilliant. Oh my God.
if he was going to lie, he would have left that out.
Mhm.
Because he knows. I mean, I don't know if he knows the full. I think he knows that trio is a thing. I'm pretty sure he knows it at this point, and he knows there's a danger there. But the greater good, I'm telling you guys the God's honest truth, because so. And the fact that the only people that were countering him were Stephanie and Jonathan.
And not even Jonathan all that much. Like, he kind of, at a certain point, he kind of got the tide, read the room, and kind of like, let me shut the F up because it's going to be her, not me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was stewing about it, but he was trying initially.
Yeah.
He was trying, like, how you going to believe this guy, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then when you get into, before I go there, now, refresh my... Does the whispering campaign and everything, does that all happen post-coin? Or does part of it happen pre and then post?
I believe it was pre and post.
There was a little bit pre, but it was a lot more post. And then after coin, it breaks all back out. Yes. Yeah. But when Rick's doing this, there's two things that were amazing. The jury reaction to this was amazing. And Christian leaning up to Coach and going, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like the jury's loving it. And did you notice, like, this sort of engaged Aubrey? Aubrey was like, her facial expression, she was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was great.
So different than, say, Aubrey's reaction and with the situation where he pulled out the fake idol, because she felt, oh, now I'm kind of tainted by this because people are going to resent him, and because I was the package deal, then I'm part of this as well, and she was kind of upset about it. I didn't really think she should have been, but whatever. Okay, so do we get to it? Do we get to the elephant in the room, as Jeff referred to it? Okay, so Jeff brings up the fact that, you've all been waiting. It's been hanging over us, and it's the elephant in the room. It's the situation with Mr. Beast and this super beware advantage. So he brings him out. I love that he walks on and he mentions, the guy, Mr. Beast, mentions that he was standing off to the side and he could hear what was going on. And he was just enjoying it. He's like a viewer. He's just enjoying the insanity of everyone, whatever. We get the briefcase up there. It gets turned around. It gets opened. We don't get the bright, shining golden light like from Pulp Fiction, like I was expecting, which I was very disappointed by, but whatever. And then we find out there is something golden there, but it's not a shining light. It's a coin. And once there was a coin, I went, okay, it's a flip a coin situation. I gotta know what the stakes are. It's gotta be something major, because we've got 10 people and it's going to be one flip of a coin. What could be so big? And I was sitting there going, I personally was going, is it going to be something where more than, if it goes one way, then more than one person gets voted out, because maybe they still need to trim more people down? I don't know how many episodes there are in relation to people or something. I feel like, oh, isn't that kind of a little Blood Moonish? Except now they're all there. But is that really? I was like, oh, that's a game changer, but in the sense that they're speeding up getting rid of 2 people. But no. The twist, people, was if it landed on heads, which was I believe the Mr. Beast logo. If it lands on heads, the person who flips the coin gets immunity that night, receives an idol, and the overall prize money for the season, which was the traditional $1 million, would be doubled to $2 million, which I believe has only happened one time before. One time before. Was it the Winners at War one? Which made sense, because that was, it's winners. They need more money because they all those taxes and stuff. So what ensues? And what ensues is who's going to flip the coin? Because either someone has to decide to do it, or they're going to have to pull rocks, and then the random person will do it. And I knew it wasn't going to happen, but before, because I kind of was pretty sure I knew where this was going, but I said, hey, it'd be really funny if for whatever reason they don't let a certain person flip it, and they're forced to draw rocks. It's like, oh God, wouldn't it be funny if it was Siri and then she loses and then she gets screwed again, just like that other season, where she got, because like because you're the only person who can go, so it had to be Siri. The one I'm talking about. It's one of the most infamous. Like, wait, she totally got screwed that season.
Didn't receive a vote and had to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say I called the twist. I predicted it. And Scott said, I wish you'd have said it on the pod, but I didn't think about it till later. I actually guessed this, and I'm not usually good at guessing it. But I think there's an important thing we need to recognize about Mr. Beast now that we're here and we're talking about it. Mr. Beast is way more important to Survivor than Survivor is to Mr. Beast.
Yes.
And the possibility that some of his fans could have watched this and enjoyed it, and the way that he showed respect to Survivor and paid homage and didn't try to make himself equal to Jeff, that he sat back. I thought that was all done in a way that of all the twists this season, it was excellent. And like him basically saying, like, I'm here to say, like, Survivor walked so I could run. And can we just say too, Jesus Christ, he is a lot bigger than Jeff Probst too.
Oh yeah.
So they're standing side by side. It was like one of these guys is a center and one of them is a point guard. Okay, this is the size difference was shocking. But the way this worked, I thought was really cool. He didn't make himself as big as Survivor. He just did his cameo and got out of the way and kept the focus on the game. And I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that I didn't know who he was hardly at all to begin with probably helped me, I guess. But even without that, it enhanced the episode to a massive degree, rather than being something that we just had to deal with. Like, oh, yay, it's this musician that I kind of know but don't really care about. And yeah, it's nice that they're having a good time, but did it have to take up like 25 minutes of an episode or something like that? Or someone having their name put on a stupid idol that never really meant anything. It's dumb. So let's get to the selection of the person. Because Devins wants to do it. Because like at this point, why not? And it was funny because I think that if that twist isn't there, it still felt to me like Devins was going to be safe. That I felt the vibe, the tide had turned enough. I think they were going to, but the risk is Stephanie does have that steal a vote,
Mm-hmm.
and which then becomes an additional vote. So, she has 2 votes technically. And so there is a slight risk there because, if it's her, Joe, and Jonathan, that's 4, they have 10. So they need 6, right? And 1 or 2 other people might just swing over because just, that people are stupid. But I love that they could have not let him do it, but then they all said, hey man, if you want to do it. And is it Rizzo who says this is a Rick Devens thing? If you're gonna have someone do it, the gambler, it's got to be this guy. It's astonishing because you're literally it's a flip of a coin. I guess you'd say it's 50-50. You're going to go home or not. And I thought the odds were better for him right now than 50-50 that he was not going home. So, I was just. I wanted it to be him, and I thought they were going to end up going to rocks. And then I was so thrilled that it turned out, nope, they're going to let him do it. And I love the fact that I love that enough people there recognized that, no, it really should be him to do this. Let him do it, because if he gets it, it's $2 million.
Yeah.
That's not,
we can vote him out later.
Yeah.
We're going to get too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then then you have to flush out an idol. Fine, whatever.
But when this happened, and this was going on, this is one of the most exciting moments on Survivor in a long time.
Oh yeah,
and it would have been exciting, like if Rizzo did it, or it would have been scary if Siri did it. But my God, Rick Devens doing it was just, this is Indiana Jones, man, like running from the boulder. It had to be Devens. Like this was perfect. Him doing it, him getting up there and being psyched about doing it. This was electric. This just was the cherry on top of an amazing episode when this happens.
So Devens is the man who goes to flip the coin, and I gotta say, the producers, the direct, the whole everyone couldn't have been more thrilled with how this went, because he makes the decision, and I love that he does it. He bases it on, he picks heads for Mr. Beast because his kids are fans of Mr. Beast, so he's doing it for his kids. At the end of the day, he's doing it for his kids. And I was wondering, like, I knew it was going to be you flip the coin and it has to hit the floor, because that's the way most people do it in, like, like the NFL thing, whatever. Whereas when I flip the coin, I put it on the back of the hand and flip it over, but that's not how people really do it. So whatever. But the fact that the coin rolled, so that somehow they were able to heighten the suspense that much more by having the coin rolling down, the cobblestones of the set, and finally, and I thought for a second, oh God, those are torches. No. And it wasn't. It was the wolf's head, or whatever the fuck it is, a panther head. I don't know, the beast head, whatever. And he wins. And by the way, part of me was going, I know it's silly to say this. I know it can't possibly happen. But part of me would say, motherfucker, just one survivor right there. But it, to me, that was one of the most exhilarating moments I've ever seen on Survivor in my 25 years of watching the show. And just, I mean, people have done things that have been on behalf of the cast before. Oh, they did a thing where they got food, or they got this, or they got that letter, whatever. This guy just took a chance. Obviously, he saves himself, but he just doubled the prize money to $2 million. That's crazy. But you know what's crazier than that? Everything that happens after that. Because then the Whisper campaign becomes everyone running around, and he's just glowing like a golden god in the middle of this. It's I couldn't believe the joy that was going on, and he was beaming like no tomorrow. And I'll tell you something, I did get a little annoyed when people were talking about what had just happened. And not everyone did this, of course, but there was like at least one or two people, the way they spoke of it, it seemed like they almost didn't want to give him credit for having been the guy to do it and actually succeed at what he did. They were just talking about just the overall thing. And I was getting a little annoyed that you're not going to, if you're going to give the guy, you didn't want to give him flowers for coming up with a fucking fake idol to save his ass, the other, a couple episodes ago. So you're not going to give him flowers for, he just showed balls of steel to do that. And he pulled it off. But he got shot in the dark crap, even though the odds of this are better than shot in the dark, as he points out, whatever.
I agree with you totally. And one of the things I was going to ask you all, is this an unprecedented back-to-back tribal council run for Devens? Is that the best ever individual performance in 2 consecutive tribal councils by Devens?
Well, Devens is great for that. Because I recall on his season where he was the Idol King, and like I feel like he had a couple of back-to-back tribals where he just kind of pulled shit out his hat. But what I must say is, and as much as I love Devens, and this was like the best thing ever that he did, how satisfying will it be for someone when they get his ass out and win that money that he doubled for them? Like, that is the gangster move right there.
Well,
It might be, but it has to happen first. Oh, by the way, it wasn't back to back because what he did with the getting the idol was 2 tribal councils ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right, but I mean, like in any given season, he has 2 epic
Oh yeah.
tribal
Oh,
councils like that put him in like the Tribal Council Performer Hall of Fame for sure.
dude, wait till we get to the rankings.
But this performance was absolutely amazing, and I wouldn't I wouldn't sell him short because he's really playing a game that's reminiscent of Miles, who won Australian Survivor 2 seasons ago. Who Miles was at the bottom, everybody knew he was at the bottom, and he was making big bold plays and ended up winning. If Devins can hang in there and survive, the jury's loving him right now.
But he has to hang in, and
Exactly.
who's going to let him?
So
Like,
they're letting
Yeah.
Siri.
well, but
You could say the same thing about any major player any season. Siri
Well,
this season
But
as well.
I agree with you, Tiffany. But I would say, like,
if I'm Siri at this, yeah, I love you, Devins, but you gotta go.
absolutely.
You've got to go. If I'm gonna,
I'm going to tell you something. If they put it, I'm going to tell you right now. If they end up putting any other idol back into play, he's the most likely one to find it. He can fucking save himself. He might stick around.
They're not putting those idols.
We don't know that. No one has ever said that or not. No one's gone to look for one. No one's ever declared there's no idols back in the game. No one's looked for anything. So we don't know that.
Okay, but he has it, and Devins is the idol guy. He has an idol now, so we know he has that. Whatever.
Huh.
If
I just think you're underestimating one of the 2 smartest players in the fucking game.
I'm not underestimating him. I'm overestimating. Like, if you want, you've got to get his ass out. Like, who's winning against Devins at this point?
Siri.
Not on a jury. Not after that move.
Maybe. We'll see.
Nah. If I'm Siri, Devins, you got to go.
I agree. If I'm Siri, I'm cutting him as soon as possible.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
He's shining like a sun right now.
Totally. Who's not going to vote for him at this point? Who's not going to vote for him?
But let's see what happens with the
I'll
idol.
tell you who's going to vote for him for sure if he's there is Rizzo. Rizzo freaking loves Devins.
Absolutely.
And speaking of what you said earlier, Scott, like, I think Rizzo's really shown his bona fides that he actually is like a huge Survivor fan. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
He knows Devins' history enough to say, like, this is the guy, the perfect guy for this moment. And
yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have the place the place truly goes bonkers. People are running around whispering into everyone else's ear. I love that there's even combinations that make no sense. Like, people are confiding people like, why would they ever even vote with you? I don't even understand what you're doing. And you hear names being thrown out here and there and everywhere, and people, and you realize, oh, is Stephanie trying to campaign against Aubrey? Why is Aubrey suddenly a target now? By the way, there's a thing. If you're going to go after Siri, then why aren't you going after Siri? You said that earlier in the episode. Why would you switch from her to Aubrey at that point?
Because she's
why?
Then it was a Hail Mary move. Like, yeah.
Stupid. So we get to the vote. The Grossman uses both of her votes. She writes Aubrey's name down twice. And as we learn later, she misspells Aubrey's name twice. And I understand that's actually a riff, kind of a joking reference to something else. Do you know what it is, Brian? I think I have it written down somewhere. I have it somewhere. I'll find it. But when the votes are finally revealed, because no one else is going to be playing an idol at this point. Yeah, the gross one is gone. And it looks, I believe, I think the only votes that weren't for her were her 2 votes against Aubrey. That means everybody saw the writing on the wall and they got rid of her. That means including her own alliance. Joe wrote her name down. Jonathan wrote her name down. They see what it is. You're gone. So she's out. She goes out with a little enough class enough. Not amazing, whatever.
Classy for her, which is a low bar.
There you go. That's actually the best way to put it.
But
I know.
but make note. The continued curse of the steal a vote. She steals Devin's vote. Almost everybody that gets the steal a vote advantage goes out.
Oh, I mean, just actually, I forgot I had notes about all this. I thought I think it might be something Jeff says, but when everyone's just running around, but Jeff actually says, even Siri is up.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Because remember, people come there like finally she's actually moving around and walking from place to place. And by the way, there's a moment where Emily is so sweet to Devins and what he did. I thought that made me get a little teary more than any of the stupid letters crap. I just like, oh my god, right, okay, don't get rid of Emily next week and keep her for one more week, then get rid of her. And I also love that during all of it, people still lying. People still trying to make it, and I love that Devon's like, and by the way, I haven't been truthful, and Johnson's still trying to act like he's lying. It's like, no, it's like, why Stephanie didn't decide to burn Jonathan because it was Jonathan's idea to go after Ozzy all along. I don't know.
But my favorite moment of this whole scramble is when Emily walks up to Jonathan and goes, "Is the vote still Aubrey?" And he says, "Get out of here. I don't believe you."
Jonathan's been funny. So yes, Stephanie is gone. I don't have to keep saying the gross one every podcast anymore.
Bye-bye.
Adios. Don't let the palm tree hit you where the
good Lord
split you or split you. A great episode. A truly great. I'm talking like I'm drunk and I'm cold sober. Very weird.
High on Devins.
I was I am, because my favorite player of the 24 that are here, that kid that started this season, the fake idol move already made me happy, and then I was kind of dismayed by the way some people were reacting to it. You can't be negative about what he did in this episode, because he did exactly what he said at the beginning of the episode. He's at the bottom. That's the worst thing you can do to me, because watch what happens. Chaos will ensue. By the way, there was chaos before we even get to tribal, because no one knows what the hell they're going to do. Whereas everyone could have said, well, why don't we just go after Devins? No, why don't we just get rid of him? That never happens. He's mentioned the way, briefly like anybody else, but they never organize a vote against him. She doesn't even vote against him. She couldn't because he had the immunity. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Whatever. There are a few times there are a few troubles I can remember being that happy about after. I am so thrilled. Yeah, maybe he'll get knocked out next week, of course. But guess what? That can be the case anytime I'm watching Survivor. But it was so good.
I got news for you. Best episode of the season, guaranteed to be on my top TV episodes at the year-end STV Best Episodes of the Year podcast.
Forgot about that.
This is guaranteed to be on that list. This was the best episode. It was entertaining. It had everything. And I think it's a foregone conclusion who's going to be our torchbearer, Scott.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I know. Rizzo was really good in this episode. You're right. Now, obviously, I think we don't even have to have much of a conversation about that. The torchbearer for this week is easily, I think I can speak for all of us about it, whatever. It's Devins. There's no one close. This is Secretariat romping at the Kentucky Derby. And it's nice because Kentucky Derby is coming up this weekend. Now, I didn't mention to you, but I was hoping you guys would remember. And if you didn't, hopefully you can do it on the fly. And if you haven't done it, I might let Brian go before you, because I know you tend to a lot here, Tiffany. Just for our listeners, I had posted all three of our top 10. We're pretty much gonna use the classic sports terminology of top 10 power rankings.
Mm-hmm.
I posted it on the Serious TV Drama podcast page, and as I said on the page, Tiffany pulled a Scot, and did 2 lists. I can't. That's why I can't get many because, as Brian knows, on many things when we do our best of whatever, Scott has to have his separate little list. It's like, oh, whatever. So this would be. I was wanted us to do our top 9. What our power rankings now? Because I feel this episode caused some rather major shifts around it. It certainly did for me. I mean, I don't mind going first, or I don't mind going last. I don't care. But did you guys do this? If you didn't, it's okay. But I'm just going to ask.
If you could go first, there was only one change I made, but I need to look and make sure it's correct if you want to go first.
Okay. All right. So what I'll do is for the folks who might not have been on our Facebook page, I'll really quickly, my original top 10 power rankings were 10 was Joe, 9 was the gross one, 8 was Emily, 7 was Tiffany, 6 was Aubrey, 5 was Rick Devens, 4 was Ozzy, 3 was Rizzo, 2 was Jonathan, and number 1 was Siri. My 9 now. At number 9, I have sadly put Emily at number 9. Number 8 is Joe. Reason? No one said Joe's name when they were talking about all the people they can go and vote at. He was never even mentioned as a person, whereas Emily was. And Joe is more likely to win a challenge or two between now and the end, whereas Emily, I have a hard time believing she would win any challenge. And that's the only reason I flipped those two. Anyway, 9 is Emily, 8 is Joe. Aubrey is at number 7. Jonathan takes a tumble because Jonathan has lost more of his alliance again. And he's kind of, I mean, it's not completely his fault, but he's floundering a little bit here. And if the only person that you have an alliance now with is Joe, I don't know how well that's going to go. So right now, I've knocked Jonathan down to 6. Tiffany pops up over him at number 5. I still have Ozzy at 4. I still have Rizzo at 3. And my favorite newscaster has shot all the way up, at least for a week, to number 2. I still have Siri as 1 because it's just so much of what she's done for an extended period of time. And I mean, if I got a final tribal that had just those 2 on it and whoever the hell the other third one, I would love to see it. I know Siri would end up winning because people would be like, oh, well, you got to give it to her. It's her 17th time being on the damn show or something. But that's the way I think what Devins did here, combined with the false idol that he had created. I like false idol instead of fake idol. It's more biblical that way. and the fact that he has a real idol now, which means, oh, he's smart enough. I think there's no way he gets knocked out the next episode, one way or the other. So that's my top 9.
You want me to go next, Tiffany? I can go next.
Yes.
I have Emily at 9 as well, Scott. I have Joe at 8. I have on my list, I have Aubrey falling to 7. I have Jonathan falling to 6. I have Tiffany. I'm sorry. I have Devins at 5. I have Tiffany at 4. I have Rizzo at 3. I have Ozzy at 2, and I have Siri at 1. I think the Wizard of Oz they're in pretty good shape right now and have a good branch out. If Devins can survive and keep that idol, he may climb another spot next week. But Jonathan, the big news of this week, Jonathan's in big trouble if they want to go after him if he doesn't win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I have Joe as my 9 just because I just don't think that he's really able. I don't think he's that clever to kind of, even though
You're
he
just
wasn't-
deceptive, and I can't trust you, Tiffany, and I'll never trust you, and we got to get rid of you.
So I have Joe at 9. I have Emily at 8. I have Jonathan at 7. I have Aubrey at 6. I have Tiffany at 5. Ozzy at 4. Rizzo at 3. And I have Devins at 2 and Siri at 1.
Okay. I think there's a lot of similarity between our list, but with enough significant differences, which all make sense for each person as they've said it. So, like I said, me like me and you having Devon's at 2, but could I see the case being said that maybe 5 might make? I could see that because like the trio is very strong and so on. That might be hard to break that. It's going to be interesting when that does break because it is going to happen eventually. Is this going to be interesting? See, the question should be for that trio to break. That means someone has to be stabbing somebody in the back. Who's the most likely person to go against one of the other two in that one?
I
It's
think
in.
Rizzo.
Would it be, see, Rizzo might be the more likely one because the other two have played for so long, but it's not like they're besties. I don't know.
I
I don't
know
know.
they're not like
I think the more interesting question
I
is
think it's
this.
Siri.
I think the more interesting question will be, and it will be when that threesome splits up, who does Siri choose and why? I think that's what's interesting because we'll hear her confessional of which one she's picking to go with, and she'll lay out why. And I can't wait to hear who she picks and why.
I kind of hope that she chooses Rizzo because I feel like if she chooses Rizzo, it's putting her in a better position. I just feel like, okay, I understand the whole Ozzy thing in there, whatever, but she's carrying Ozzy. At least with Rizzo, like Rizzo can hold his own as far as strategizing with her.
If I'm her and what I've seen in the challenges, I start pulling in Tiffany closer and closer because on those individual immunities, Tiffany's always the last woman left and is right there with the men almost every time and won this time. Tiffany is a beast in these
She is
individual
pulling her in.
immunities.
You don't see they have that black woman connection. So
I think that, but I think she'll pull her in and push out one of the others.
oh, absolutely. Like, you can tell that. Like, y'all probably don't see it, but I see it. Like it's said without being said.
Yeah, we
They
see it.
are,
We see it, Tiffany. Don't worry about it. We see it.
whatever.
We're not fucking stupid. Jesus.
Well, I don't know if everybody else on the island is seeing it or whatever, but
Well,
like,
they didn't even know the three that they didn't even know they didn't know there was a 3-way combination for God knows how long.
You know who doesn't see shit? Joe. Joe doesn't see it because he doesn't
oh,
see anything.
Joe,
He doesn't,
doesn't see.
he doesn't have he doesn't have his special assistant this season.
You know what?
Anyway, I'm just saying she was special. She was a special player, very special. Anyhow, fun times. So and the next episode is going to be titled "Everyone Will Be Shooketh," which is great for the guy with the list to have to fucking say on the podcast. So thanks for that, Survivor. Yeah, great episode. One last thing, I'll just to toot the horn for Devon's one last time. Another reason for me to love the episode, like even if obviously betting people are still probably not betting on him to win. I understand that, but at least he had this plus the other thing. Right now, he's the king of the great moments of the season so far. No one, as you were saying, no one's had 2 tribals where you were just blew the top off of everything, not just saving yourself, but just impacting the game in such a way. And that's why he was the torchbearer of that season, of that episode as well. No one else has done that yet, and I don't know if anyone else who's a part of this list is inclined to be that person. I mean, I don't know if Rizzo's going to have anything up his sleeve anytime because he don't got no idol. Oh, what he does. That, by the way, that one last thing, when that's going to start to come into play, because again, we've got 9 people and a third of them have idols. That's got to come into play. The question is going to be who's using them and who's going to use them for themselves, or who's going to try to pull the ultimate. Because I love when they use it for somebody else and people don't see it coming.
Wouldn't it be beautiful if Siri could get Ozzy to do what she did to Eric and get him to play it on somebody else and they vote Ozzy out? That would be Amazing.
That would put her right alongside Mr. Devins as far as great fucking tribal moments. So
absolutely,
that'd be something
Nobody's
special.
that stupid.
But and she still has that extra vote. So very
Nobody's
dangerous.
that stupid. Like Ozzy's not going to fall for that.
Which is another reason one of them should turn on her, because she also has that extra vote. So they should do that. Just saying. Okay. I'm going to start the little wrap up now because it's been a very long podcast. Okay. Well, speaking of podcasts, which is what we're on right now, obviously we will be back next week to talk about the next episode of Survivor, which, as I indicated, the next episode's title will be Everyone Will Be Shooketh. However, between now and then, another, shall we say, a former STVD stalwart will be joining me to talk about something other than Survivor, although would not be shocked if there was a minute or two of sudden Survivor talk. Because Jamie is coming back we're going to be talking about the first 3 episodes of The Boys from season 5. We're going to be doing that in a few days. And we have it planned out that hopefully roughly a week later, we will then talk about the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Really bad for the lisp today. Episodes of the season as well, which would catch us up. And then we'll wait till the final 2 have aired and then cover those as well. By the way, since she gets name checked on this podcast a number of times, it is extremely likely that Jamie will be joining us for at least one of these, which would be kind of cool to have a foursome. But well, anyway, I mean to talk about Survivor. Yeah, the face. Anyway. And eventually me and Brian will do the Twilight Zone too. I still haven't figured out when we're going to do that, but we will. Brian needs to bug me about it. Anyway, I'm going to thank you guys. Oh, wait, don't I have to say what? Oh yeah, we're you can find us on various things everywhere. You just type in our name and you'll find us, whatever it is. Who cares? Okay. So Scott, why aren't you better at self-promotion? I don't know. First, Brian, thank you so much for joining. I'm glad you've been able to join us back-to-back weeks, and hopefully, if all goes well, hopefully you can stick around for the rest of the season if you can.
I'll do my best to join you as much as I can. I really enjoy it, and it's been great to meet Tiffany and share this podcast space with her as well. And I love it. And man, I as much as I could have wanted to beg out, there's no way I wasn't talking about this episode, best episode of the season.
How could you not?
Yeah. So thanks for having me.
It's too bad Jamie's name doesn't begin with an E, because if she joined that, because oh look, it spells BEST, best. Anyway, speaking of best, Tiffany, thank you again for joining. Which wine was it this week? Was it your Chalamet or?
No, this is my
Pot de Soie
favorite Apothic red blend.
Oh, Apothic. Okay.
Cheap wines get you there, but
Gotcha.
still.
So like Thunderbird. Gotcha. Okay. So
it's smooth and flavorful.
Oh God damn it! I had the trip. Oh, hold on. Wait. Wait. Give me 1 second. No. Okay, I had the Survivor wiki up because I thought there was some interesting trivia about this episode. Siri is the last representative from Heroes and Villains that's left in the game. Every castaway that won individual immunity on the Blood Moon Challenge has now been voted out. When she's voted out, Stephanie says she's had her torch snuffed out 4 times. That is not true because she made it to the final tribal in Guatemala, so it hasn't happened 4 times. Oh, Aubrey making the comment about spelled my name wrong. This is a reference to Sydney Gillian from Cow Wrong, Aubrey's original season. So she was quoting another player who had her name spelled wrong, whatever. This is the second time Stephanie was eliminated during an auction episode. That's amazing. And the rest of it isn't that interesting. Okay, just want to get that out at the end. I'll stop it there and just say good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.